Emma sat alone on her couch in her small Portland apartment, staring out at the rain sliding down the windowpane, feeling the weight of months, maybe years, of quiet, lonely nights pressing on her chest. Life had settled into a rhythm of work, meals, and endless scrolling through her phone, and though she had once been proud of her independence, tonight the silence felt unbearable, almost heavy enough to crush her. The soft knock at her door made her jump, her heart skipping, and when she opened it to see Alex standing there, dripping from the rain with that familiar, easy smile, a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time spread through her. They laughed awkwardly about wet shoes and soaked coats, but underneath it all, there was a tension she couldn't ignore, a magnetic pull that made her stomach flutter. Sitting together in her tiny living room, sipping tea and talking about everything from old college memories to the small worries of daily life, Emma felt a flicker of something she had almost forgotten: connection. She realized how much she had missed the simple presence of someone who knew her and cared without judgment. The hours passed quickly, filled with laughter, shared stories, and moments of quiet that felt too intimate to be casual. When Alex finally left, the apartment felt emptier than before, yet strangely lighter too, like the first cracks of sunlight through a long winter. Emma knew something had shifted inside her, an old wall had started to crumble, and the loneliness she had accepted for so long suddenly felt like a choice she was no longer willing to make. And as she sat back down with her blanket and tea, she couldn't help but wonder if letting people in again could change everything she thought she knew about herself, leaving the audience hanging with the soft thrill of anticipation, curious about what would happen next. A week later, Emma's phone buzzed with a message that made her pause. Liam, a kind and thoughtful colleague she had quietly admired, was inviting her to a small dinner with friends. Normally, she would have hesitated, preferring the comfort of her quiet apartment, but something inside her whispered that maybe it was time to step out, to let life back in. That evening, she arrived at the cozy apartment, greeted by laughter, the warm glow of lamps, and the aroma of homemade food, and immediately felt a spark she hadn't realized she had been craving: connection, warmth, and a sense of belonging. Liam's gentle attentiveness made her heart flutter, while Sophie, witty and full of life, drew Emma into conversations that made her laugh and feel alive again. They played games, shared stories, and slowly strangers became companions, their smiles and gestures creating a bubble of comfort around her that she hadn't experienced in years. Every glance from Liam carried a quiet curiosity, a hint of something more than friendship, and though Emma tried to focus on enjoying the night, a nervous thrill coursed through her. As the evening wound down, she realized she had laughed louder than she had in months, had shared parts of herself she usually kept hidden, and had allowed herself to be seen, and it terrified her as much as it delighted her. Walking home through the quiet streets, the rain now a gentle drizzle, she replayed every conversation, every smile, every fleeting moment of connection, and felt a thrilling, fragile hope blossom inside her. Maybe opening her heart could bring joy instead of pain. Maybe the loneliness she had carried for so long could finally ease, and the cliffhanger of what Liam might feel, or what these new friendships could become, lingered in her mind, leaving both her and the audience eager to see what would happen next. The days after the dinner blurred into a whirlwind of messages, calls, and small meetings that pulled Emma out of her quiet routine and into a world she had almost forgotten existed, where laughter, shared jokes, and heartfelt conversations filled her hours with a warmth she hadn't realized she craved so desperately. Liam's texts arrived daily, thoughtful and teasing, each one making her smile in ways that surprised her, while Alex and Sophie also reached out, inviting her into casual outings that slowly chipped away at the walls she had built around her heart. And though part of her still hesitated, afraid of losing the fragile piece she had learned to protect, another part thrilled at the thought of connection, of letting people in after so long, of being truly seen and understood. One quiet evening, Liam invited her to a small cafe, where over coffee and soft background music, they spoke of dreams and fears, of past heartbreaks and the little moments that had shaped their lives, and Emma felt a pull she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years, a magnetic attraction that was exciting and terrifying at the same time. Soon, Sophie suggested a weekend getaway with a small group of friends, promising laughter, adventures, and the kind of freedom that came from escaping the familiar, and despite her initial hesitation, Emma agreed, sensing that life was offering her something she had almost given up on: companionship, joy, and the thrill of vulnerability. The trip was everything she hadn't realized she needed: long drives with music blasting, nights of quiet talks under the stars, and endless laughter that connected her to people who had once been strangers but now felt like home. And in the quiet moments by the fire, watching Liam and Alex whispering to each other with serious expressions, Emma felt a twinge of anxiety, a sudden reminder that letting people in always carried risk, that her heart, newly awakened, could still be fragile, leaving both her and the audience hanging in anticipation, wondering what would happen next, how these bonds would deepen, and whether opening herself so fully could truly change the lonely life she had carried for so long. By the final evening of the weekend getaway, Emma felt a transformation she hadn't anticipated. Sitting on the porch of the small cabin, the sky painted in warm shades of orange and pink, she watched Liam, Alex, and Sophie laugh around a crackling bonfire and felt a deep, unexpected sense of belonging that had been absent from her life for years, as if the loneliness she had carried for so long was finally lifting, replaced by something lighter, warmer, and more promising. Liam came to her side, shy but steady, taking her hand with a quiet intensity that made her chest flutter, and in his gaze she saw not just friendship but an unspoken understanding, a shared sense of excitement and care that made her heart swell with hope. While Alex joined them moments later with a teasing grin that eased her nervous tension, and Sophie nudged her gently, her laughter a comforting reminder that life could still surprise her with joy and companionship. Emma realized that the courage it took to let people into her world had not diminished her strength but had amplified it, showing her that vulnerability could coexist with independence, and that trusting others could lead to deeper, more meaningful connections than she had imagined possible. As the group shared stories by the fire, the quiet moments between conversations became as meaningful as the laughter, each glance, each small gesture weaving an invisible thread of intimacy, and Emma's heart, once guarded and wary, now felt open and full, ready to embrace whatever came next without fear. Walking back inside later, she reflected on the journey of the past few weeks: the knock at her door, the dinner invitation, the messages and calls, the weekend of laughter and adventure, and realized that she had allowed herself to live again, to feel deeply, and to hope, and that by letting others in, she had not only found companionship but rediscovered the beauty of her own resilience, leaving the audience with a warm, satisfying sense of closure while hinting that this new chapter of her life, filled with love, trust, and shared experiences, was only just beginning, a story of loneliness transformed into connection, of fear replaced by courage, and of a heart finally ready to beat fully for life and love.